Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back, ninjas, to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Garrett and Matt are ready this morning. We're recording on an unusual day for us just due to some schedule changes, but I think we got Garrett awake. We got myself awake. I did need some extra caffeine this morning, Garrett. I've been not drinking coffee, but I did drink coffee today. So hopefully that brings the energy boost.
What made today special? Just being an off day?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I was tired this morning, man. I don't know if I worked out too much like the past couple of days, but leg day did rock my world. So that could be part of it. What was your excuse for being tired?
My family's traveling, and I usually sit up and think about them when they're not here and worry about them a little bit. So I just want to make sure that they're good and they're safe and they're home and they're here and they're back. But they came home at like 1 a.m, which means that I was awake till 1 a.m.
That's a way better excuse than what I have.
Then I woke up at 5 and it's like, oh, yeah, I got 4 hours of sleep. That's perfect.
All right. Ready to rock and roll, ready to record a podcast and share some knowledge. And this is a good topic that you brought up today, Garrett. We'll hit the promo stuff at the end today, I think. So we'll dive into this because this is, I think, going to become more prevalent in many markets. Maybe certain people aren't seeing this kind of thing yet. Although I feel like this has been around and this idea has been very, very important throughout the entire seller's market that we've been experiencing. And this is, as you said, Garrett, setting expectations correctly for sellers, particularly as markets change shape. We're not saying in which direction affirmatively either way, but the expectations, if they're not there, you can end up with a property, as I was explaining to you, a property in my neighborhood on the market, definitely priced probably too high, reduction, canceled, vanished. Like, where did it go? We don't know.
They should have set Matt's expectations. Matt was watching it like a hawk going like, let's go.
Yeah, I really wanted that thing to sell. Same model house as me. I was like, come on, baby. It's like watching the NCAA finals.
You should have had a little hanger on your door that says, this is probably ain't going to happen.
I was about ready to just take a folding chair out and sit across the street and just like eat some popcorn waiting for it. But no, didn't happen. Anyway, Garrett, you brought this topic up. I think it's very important. So tell us a little bit about why this is coming out for you.
Well, this came up because as I'm working with people and we're talking about like day-to-day stuff, I always ask people, what's going on in your marketplace right now? What's happening with your deals? Are there any trends you're seeing? It only takes a couple people in my world to go like, hey, is anybody else seeing something or is anybody else noticing this? And I kind of take note of it. Like the first time, it's like a little bit of like no, I'll pay attention. And then I go to the next person that I'm talking to and they may say the exact opposite, which kind of makes me almost void the first comment. Kind of go like, like, is that maybe a special situation or is it a trend? And it's been interesting. I've been watching a fair amount of people here just recently that have come out kind of going like, like things are a little bit different out here on the marketplace. And I know we're a couple of weeks off of when we record this to when everybody's hearing this, but this was kind of right around through spring break time. We're still kind of in spring break time right now at the time of recording this. We have everybody being released back into the wild from being caged here for a little while through quarantine and regulations on our life. So I feel like there's that element also added into this. So I've been a little hesitant to be like, okay, is this a change in the marketplace? Like, are we seeing an actual change or are we kind of going through a little bit of a changing of shape right now just with current conditions of life? No matter what's happening, if it's a change in the actual market or if we're just kind of adjusting for like events that people are getting to go out and live their life and travel and do different things. An expectation set for the seller is so important that's putting their home on the market right now. And it's one of those things that I find that a lot of sellers don't pay enough attention to. They get kind of willy-nilly with kind of throwing things out there of like, so we're going to put your home on the market and it's going to go for over asking price and we're going to have multiple offers. I just need you to prepare you for that. And they get so confident in kind of going in with that, leading with that type of mentality, because we've seen it happen on every single property that's hit the market for the most part here for a while. And all of a sudden, there's a little bit of an adjustment or a little bit of a shift. And all of a sudden, that property goes on the market. It gets one offer or no offers and rides out the offer review date. And then you're sitting there going like, wow, I've got these sellers now who are going, what's going on? Because you set an expectation for them of what's going to happen. And I think in this marketplace right now, as a good listing agent, one of the best things we can do is just take a step back for a second and kind of do like, here's all the things that could happen. Because I am seeing kind of hit or miss. There are some homes that are hitting the marketplace and they're blasting off. The cream puffs are going away with lots of offers. And those ones that weren't quite cream puffs, but they were like close, could all of a sudden sit for a little bit. And where like about a month ago or 2 months ago, they would just vanish off the market just the same way as the cream puff did. So that's why I want to talk about this today, Matt, because I'm watching expectations not being set correctly. I'm watching people that get that one offer and it's a really good offer. And the seller is just like, this is not what we were expecting. It's like, no, we have a really good offer sitting in front of us.
Yeah, I think most of this comes out too, Garrett, because a lot of agents aren't taking the time to show sellers the market, right? Thinking about this property in my neighborhood, they basically listed it at almost double what they paid for the property in 2019, right? So less than 2 years. Well, no, a little over 2 years, sorry. And they're like, all right, let's double the price of the house, which, hey, in some markets, people are like, wait, that's it? Only double? Come on. We're going higher than that. But it was a bit of a moonshot. And I look at that and I think, okay, someone maybe didn't explain to them the whole or there's something else going on that I don't even know about, which is totally possible, by the way. I'm not the arbiter of knowledge when it comes to people putting their homes on the market. But it always says to me that someone's not showing these sellers the trends, the data to say like, hey, here's what's going on, so that they're already getting excited, right? Like if I'm talking to a seller, I'm showing them here's the trends of what's happening, so that no matter what, there's profitability here, right? There's going to be way big upsides. Now let's talk about what's currently going on in the market with supply and demand trends. And again, showing them the information. And I've seen this with even some ninjas where they've kind of come back to just pulling out the MLS sheets and showing comps, which aren't really, they're relevant, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be relevant to helping someone understand what is currently transpiring in the marketplace that impacts why those homes sell for certain prices and why certain homes sit on the market. Because no matter how crazy the demand is, buyers are still very savvy, even though I'm going to just guess, and I can't even say it's an estimate because there's no scientific backing behind this, but we just talked about the slight decrease in mortgage applications year over year, about 9% for buyers, home purchases. I would still say the demand for homes is probably like 4x the actual supply that's flowing through. So there's a lot of people who want to buy homes, but even then they're not going to go crazy and be like, well, I'm going to pay exorbitant amounts of money unless total cream puff, right? Totally hits the emotions. You get the right buyer, but to attract that right buyer, they need to be able to see it. And if we're positioned incorrectly, they're never going to see it, Garrett. And so this is where showing becomes so important for sellers.
This house in your neighborhood is interesting because we don't know how the agent set the seller's expectations. There's so many different paths. They could have come in and been like, oh, hell yeah, like we can get you that amount.
Well, I also know that this brokerage does have other we'll buy it options as well. So there could be an option. It could have been a relocation as well, where they had a buyout from the relo company. There's so many other things that could be at play here. Or maybe something happened. They decided they're not going to sell, or they need to pause personal life stuff. There's a lot of things that could have happened. So I'll just put that caveat out there.
So I think with the expectation is it's one thing as a seller listing agent to sit there and say, we're going to do a Hail Mary here and see what happens. Like I'm in, I'll play the game. Who knows? It might work in this marketplace. Like I'll go down that path with you. And I think in some marketplaces, like that's okay. But you set the expectation of, I'm not guaranteeing anything on this. Like it might work, it might not. I think that where the trap happens here right now is that we just assume that tomorrow is going to be the same as today. And we're just going like boom, boom, boom. We're in this marketplace right now that is starting to show some different signs. It is starting to give us some different energy. At the same time, I hear in this market that I thought was shifting. One of my precursor areas, I was like, oh, really pay attention to it. It was a $500,000 house hits the marketplace and has 40 showings the first day and 60 some odd showings the second day. Goes under contract for $150,000 over. Like that's a pretty prime property. It's a pretty normal price range for that marketplace. It's not low. It's just a normal, healthy price range. Like you look at that and go, that's a thriving area. That's a lot of buyers in the marketplace still there. But at the same time, Same marketplace a week before, puts the home on the market, goes all the way to the offer review date and gets a lowball offer, and then gets 3 offers that are contingent on selling their home to be able to purchase. And, seeing enough of those kind of come up, like, you could frustrate your seller when you're sitting there and saying, like, look, this is what's going to happen when you guys come on the marketplace. And if you don't set them up that, like, this could happen also. It may not be everybody just running over asking. It might be that we just get a nice solid offer with even some contingencies attached to it. Like, we're starting to see that in the marketplace right now. That's the setting of the expectations, is that we might have this happen, but this is also showing up right now too.
Yeah. If you explain all the different options, because part of the expectation setting in my mind is not just to help sellers make good decisions when it comes to positioning their home, because let's remember, the seller is in control of the price. They decide what that price is. You get to decide whether you want to take the listing or not and make that as part of the services that you're going to offer. The seller controls the condition of the home. They control the availability for showings. The seller controls everything. Our job is to help them make good decisions, and that's part of the expectations. And they might choose to do something else, but if the expectations are clear, as you continue to go down the path, it's going to be easier to have a conversation about a price reduction, about a repositioning, about maybe doing some staging in the house or something if it needs it. I had that experience with a listing of mine. This is years ago, obviously, where we were on the market for 2 years, but we went into it.
This is your client?
My client. Yep. I'm okay with saying this. All right. But we went in with the very clear expectations that it was one of those, as everybody's heard, we don't have to sell kind of things. And I said, well, this is the price. We looked at the market. Don't you agree? Yes, yes, yes. Well, after 2 years, when they've agreed, I mean, they always agreed to everything too. They were very clear on what was going on in the market. So there was zero stress. There was no calls like, why is the property not selling? There was no stress of a lot of that stuff. And we did get showings. But ultimately, they did make a price adjustment. We did do some things to the home. And then as soon as we did that, 2 full ask offers in the same week after 2 years on the market. And those buyers were quite upset by that, by the way, but it worked out in the seller's favor. But expectations were clear. And that's the one thing that I was very proud of, is just making sure that, hey, they know what's going on. So they're not being left in the dark. They know what's going on with their money.
Well, if you don't set the expectations like that, Matt, then you're losing sleep every single night because you got sellers that are breathing down your neck going, come on, what's going on? What's going on? Because they have this mentality or setup that this thing's going to sell. At least when you set the stage on it, it's like, we're all in agreement. This might take a while. This is not a short game we're playing here. This is a long game. We're going to ride this thing out. I'm in with you. And as long as you're not breathing down my neck and calling me up in the middle of the night and yelling at me, we have a healthy relationship. And that's all goes back to good communication. It happens on the flip side, those too. So like, you'll have a marketplace that is moving slower, and this marketplace will come back around again where there is inventory and there are homes on the market. At some point, we are going to see this. That's not a never going to see again situation. And the interesting thing with that is that you could put a home on the market with the expectation that it's going to take 30 days to sell. And in the first day, we get 3 offers. And all of a sudden you have a seller sitting there saying, wait. We super underpriced this property. Everybody else is taking 30 days. And what you did is you did everything right up front. You hit the marketplace perfectly. The house was a cream puff. It was staged. It was ready to go. Everything was looking great. The lawn was mowed in the right direction. I mean, everything was perfect about the house. And yeah, 3 people walked in and fell in love with it. And they have now the winner's curse because you never set them up that, oh, by the way, because of what we're doing, yeah, the market says it's going to take 30 days. We might have the first 3 people walk in this house and write an offer because we're going to set it up that way. That's what we're hoping for. That's the win. That's setting expectations also. And so I think that we just need to step back for a second and say, okay, what are we setting our sellers up for as we put these homes on the market for right now? And are we giving them all the options of what could potentially happen and what's going on? And I'm just seeing a big open door here right now of potentially, some realtors maybe having some egg on their face. You don't have to do it. It doesn't have to happen.
Yeah, because all you have to do is be clear with your communication. And I think part of what's missing is like the buyer interview, right? What's going to happen when? Step 10. What's going to happen when we find the house? With sellers too, and you're having that pricing discussion, the goal is to do exactly what you said. we want to sell this home quickly, right? I mean, that's our best opportunity to get the best price, really great offers. Let's do this right. If they decide to go a different route, or if they decide to go that route, then it says, okay, if this happens next, are you going to be okay with that? If we get offers on the first day, or if they don't make a decision that prices it in a place where you think that, you say, if this were to happen next, are you going to be okay if we don't get offers for 2 weeks, for 30 days? But we do get showings. Are you going to be comfortable with that? If we get feedback that the price is too high or this, are you going to be comfortable with that? You ask these questions so that they give you the response of clarity of, yeah, we understand what we're getting into. That way, no matter what happens, like in your situation, Garrett, they're like, cool. Okay. Yeah. We thought this could be an option and this is good news for us. Right now, what if too, Garrett, you get an offer the first day, you get 3 offers, but they're all below ask as well. Are you going to be okay with that? How would you like us to start handling that situation? Because I'm seeing that happen with some homes too. When these sellers are really going, they're like, oh, I'm selling at a discount. I'm like, this is where the data comes in. And you look at, okay, no, in 2 years, your house is now appreciated to what you're trying to list it at over, double what you paid for it. So if we get an offer below ask, what do you mean we're selling at a discount? Asking price is an ask. It is a marketing tool. It is not the fair market value of the home.
This is where I'm actually really enjoying the term starting price. Like, I have thought a lot about this. When I first heard it, I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. And I was like, I'm not quite sure how it sits with me of a starting price, because it sounds like you're starting an auction almost. But the reality is that when I used to sell homes, I used to let people know that we're going to put your home in the market, and the market's going to talk to us. It's going to tell us everything we need to know. It's going to show us activity. It's going to show us silence. It might show us a lowball offer. It might show us multiple offers. But we need to listen really quickly as this property hits the market. And I'm going to interpret what the marketplace is telling us back to you so that you can make smart decisions about what you need to do with this property. If we talk about it as a starting price, again, which I now starting to become more and more fond of, the buyers are going to depict what market value is out there. That means if we come on a little bit high, potentially, the market's going to talk to us. It may talk to us with silence. It may talk to us with a couple of lowball offers that come in. And that's the market saying like, okay, a couple of the buyers agree out there who haven't talked to each other, by the way. It's not like they all sat in the corner and went like, I think we can get this thing for lower. Let's all come in low and see what happens. All separately on their own, they decided we're going to give you an offer that's below what the market, or at least what the asking price or the starting price is. These types of conversations need to be starting to come to life right now, so that no matter what happens, again, what is the market saying to us as we go on? And then how are we going to adjust, and how are we going to make sure that you can be successful getting to where you want to go? But at the end of the day, it will all pan out at what the market perceives to be market value. Like, that's what's going to happen at the end of this thing.
Absolutely. And I think it's fair to share your experiences with buyers as well. A lot of agents out there, probably a lot of you who are listening, even if you are typically listing heavy, have a lot of buyers that you're working with because of that incredible amount of demand. You know what your buyers are saying. You know what they're feeling in this market. That is knowledge for you to share with your sellers. You can say, hey, listen, I work with a lot of buyers, and here's what they're saying about this current marketplace. Here's what they're saying about when they see homes at certain prices or at value discrepancies. Because you might have buyers that are saying, I know, and I'm using air quotes again, that I'm going to have to pay over asking price. And so if we price a home too high and that's the sentiment of buyers, and they're like, well, I can't afford the $100,000 over that, so I'm out. Well, we know that's going to be a problem then in positioning if that's the mindset of the average buyer out there. We can't control the other agents, right? We can only control what we do, our process, and hopefully help our sellers in that way as well. So share your knowledge of the mindset of the buyers you work with and talk about those strategies with your sellers so that you guys can make these homes easy for people to write contracts on. And as I always say, make these homes easy to buy. That's going to be the best thing for the sellers at the end of the day.
So going back to expectations again, I think that the other thing that I'm watching out there is there's a lot of people that are very effective listing agents right now that are getting listings by setting the expectation of, this is what you're going to see that happens. Like, this is the best time to sell your home right now because we're going to get multiple offers. You're going to sell it for more than you ever thought. They're actually picking up listings that way, or helping people become sellers because of the expectation of what could potentially happen. And I think this is an area too, just to be careful in. watched it happen a couple of years back. I had a friend of mine that was sending out real estate reviews, and he was putting, if you wanted to sell your home, this is what you could sell it for right now. And setting a massive expectation right in front of them. And there was people that were going, if I could sell my home for that, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's put that thing on the market. I will sell it for that. Like, that's a worthwhile profit. And what would happen is they put the home on the market, and every once in a while, you all of a sudden go like, we're a little bit high. We need to reduce the price down now. All of a sudden, you have a seller here who's flipping out going, wait. You set my expectations up here. This is what you told me was going to happen, and we didn't get to see it. That's kind of an in your face of how that can happen. And it can happen in all these different situations that we've shared with you so far today, of like setting the wrong expectations and then having that come back. And when you're trying to build a referral-based business, if you want people to go and rave about you to all their friends and say, hey, this is the person I worked with that got me from point A to point B, and here's my experience, the more you can manage expectations, the more comfortable they're going to be referring you in the future. If you sidestep their expectations or set expectations that could not happen in that marketplace at that given time, there's no way they will refer you to their friends and family moving forward. You can turn off that referral aspect of your business if you're going down that line. That's why this is so important. That's why I want to talk about it today.
No, I like that. And I'll just add on to that piece is, don't use the market to pull sellers out, right? Don't use something like, oh, now's the best time to sell, so you should. Use your warm list and life changes so that those conversations happen naturally. Because in a situation like that, like if someone told me like, Matt, you can get X price for selling your house, I'd be like, sweet, let's do it. And the minute we don't, be like, house coming off the market. You told me I could get that price. If I'm not getting that, why are we here? There's not, now granted, there is a life change in my world, but point is, if you goat somebody into listing their house because they're going to get X out of it, don't be surprised when they cancel you because it's not happening. Okay.
Well, it's funny. It's a very much a 50-50 game. It's a win-lose game. You're either going to get it for them and they're going to be like, wow, you were right. Like, this was amazing. Or they're going to be like, you sucker, you tricked me. And it's a win-lose scenario going down that. You might get lucky and you might win. And this marketplace has allowed you to get lucky for a long time. And I think that it might continue on. Who knows what this is going to look like. But it's a dangerous game to play going down those lines. But again, all's about setting correct expectations.
It's not hard to do either, Garrett. It's actually really easy. And it feels really good because then you have a process that's repeatable and predictable, which is going to lead to more business for you, happier sellers. I don't see a downside to this. Is there a downside to setting expectations? I don't think so.
Well, the more we're sitting here talking about it, it's like the real situation is if you set the right expectations and you have somebody that needs to sell, like, here's all the different scenarios of how this is going to play out. Oh, by the way, they're not just here because of like the chance of good luck that they might sell it for a certain amount. Like, they truly need to sell, which is you saying, go back to your warm list, look at the people on there on the hot list that truly need to take action and do something. There is no downside. And this is how you create long-term, strong referral people that want to come back and do business with you over and over and over and over again. And they want to tell all their friends about what it was like working with Matt Benelli, even though it took 2 years to sell their house.
I did get good referrals from that seller, by the way.
Yeah.
Good ones. And those subsequent sellers did listen or made good choices in helping get their home sold in a more appropriate amount of time. Anyway, Garrett, thank you for bringing this. Everyone, thank you for listening. We appreciate y'all. And hopefully you got some good nuggets out of this. And Garrett, where do they go to join in on our community to get in on more of the action?
I hate, you're like great at like rambling out the whole www. Okay, so here's where you go. You go to Facebook and there's a community group in there called the Ninja Selling Podcast Community. We'd love to have you come and check it out. We'd love to have you be part of it. There's a bulletin board in there that talks about all upcoming events when it comes to installations, mastery classes, which Matt just rolled his eyes going, oh my gosh, I need to update that.
Yep.
So there's all that information in there. If you want to find out about future installations, go to ninjaselling.com. They have all the upcoming private and public events or open events that are in there. There are a handful of open events currently right now. I was actually just in there the other day. So there are some around the United States. And then I'm very excited. I'm going to throw a carrot out here because we have Larry coming up here in the near future. And we're going to talk about not only the path of Ninja, but also the history of the installation. I know a lot of you hear us talk about the installation. You hear us talk about what you can do as you go down your path of a Ninja. And Larry and I were having a conversation the other day, and he is super excited to come on, and we're going to actually show people what the path looks like. So we're excited to do that, and I'm excited to have him on, but that'll also bring some clarity for all of you out there. So that's all I have. I appreciate you, Matt.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. That's going to be awesome. I appreciate you too, Garrett, and all the listeners. Thank you guys so very much. Hope that you're having a wonderful day, wonderful drive, wonderful run, walk, hike, whatever it is that you're doing. Appreciate y'all very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. And until the next time. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.